Hey there, Dan Martell here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this episode, I'm going to share with you how to find, attract, identify the best advisors for your business to help you grow and compensate them without giving away your whole business. And be sure to stay at the end where I'm going to share with you an exclusive resource called the Dream 100 that talks about not only the advisors, but the peers, advisors, and mentors that you need to build a dream team of folks around you to help you scale and succeed in your business. So I've been building companies now for over 20 years, and my first two companies were complete failures. Literally struggled, didn't grow, just me, kind of solopreneur, had a few partners, didn't make it work. And eventually Sphere was the first company where I started reading business books, and I got a mentor and a business coach. And I started to understand the value of advice. And then fast forward to, exiting that company, becoming a multimillionaire at 27, moving to San Francisco. I wanted to see if any of my crazy ideas would hold water with some of the best in the world. And I started Flowtown, and then exited that, and then Clarity. And for both of those companies, I had formal advisors, equity advisors. Travis Kalanick from Uber was a formal advisor. Eric Ries from Lean Startup. Heaton Shaw from Kissmetrics and many other products, to Sean Ellis, the guy who coined the word growth hacker. So I've gone through hiring, recruiting, and building advisors for my own businesses. But recently I had a friend, John, reach out to me because he was frustrated with his lack of growth. He got to about $1 million in revenue, just himself and kind of one other person part-time, which is great, but he just felt like there was something more, and he felt like, I'm missing something. So he went out and he started talking to some friends, and he had a few people approach him to be advisors, and the scenario seemed very expensive to him, where they wanted a big piece of equity, they wanted to be consulted or compensated for it, and he just didn't understand how to think through it. And we had a conversation. I walked him through exactly what I'm going to share with you in this video. It's really sparked this conversation because I wanted to make sure that he understood that, not only understanding who he should bring on, but how to compensate them and how to recruit them and make it work. So that's what we're going to cover in this episode. Let's get into it. Number one, close the gaps. So the way I think about business is you have an inherent skill set and abilities and strengths that allow you to do what you do, but there's probably parts of the business, maybe it's HR, maybe it's financial, maybe it's legal, where you definitely feel like imposter syndrome going on in the world, where it's like, I don't even know. I can't believe they're asking me to negotiate event contracts or negotiate biz dev deals, et cetera, because you've never done it before. So I call those kind of buckets experience buckets. There's areas in your thinking where you just don't have any formal education or experience to be able to make proper decisions. That is how we first start identifying the right people to bring into our business. We want to make sure that we look at the gaps in our knowledge and say, okay, I need an advisor for this, I need an advisor for this, and I need an advisor for this. And then finding out people that you could help you support and kind of overcome that gap is as easy as asking for referrals. What I like to do is look, you can always hire consultants. There's a bunch of consultants out there, management consultants and marketing consultants and HR consultants, but some of them have never been approached to do advisory work, right? Where they're not having to deliver any work product, they're just there to advise. And it's actually a totally different experience. Like a lawyer sometimes acts as an advisor, so that's a funny one. I've never gotten in a lawyer as an advisor because I'll just essentially have to pay them by the hour to do whatever, do a phone call. But think of the experience buckets that you're lacking to close the gap, and just try to just ask for advice and see if they would be open to that advisory conversation. Number two, pay to perform. So this is a big one. A lot of advisors just want, hey, give me equity, give me 10% of your business, and I'll make a bunch of introductions, and you'll be rich, and it'll be awesome. Slow the roll. Like, to me, anybody that wants to pay for introductions, that's a big no-no. Like zero. I don't do it. I just don't do it. I will pay you for an introduction. I'm not going to give you equity. I've made this mistake. Everything I share with you, I've made all those mistakes myself. Luckily, ideally once, sometimes twice. But to me, there's kind of three ways to compensate an advisor, right? Number one is equity, okay? And the normal range of a formal advisor, especially in the tech SaaS world, is kind of 0.1% to 2%. 2% is extremely rich, but for somebody that is, like an athlete in your category that's gonna open up doors, it's gonna bring credibility, all these things that a good advisor should do. Because really, to me, an advisor is somebody that can leverage their name to open up doors and all these things. 2% might be what's going. But when you get into the 5, 10%, et cetera, I think that that's just a little aggressive, and expectations are definitely gonna get out of whack. But that's number one, is just negotiate equity. Usually it's a 2-year vesting, meaning that they might get none of it for the first 6 months, make sure that they're working out, and then you get a 6-month, cliff, and then monthly vest after that. You can structure it with your legal team approach, but 2-year vest is kind of the norm for an advisor, and you want to try to front load some of the value and advice up front. Then there's just pay or consulting, right? So either I'm going to pay them a success fee based on an activity, like referring people or getting some deals closed, or I'm going to pay them maybe a retainer or monthly stipend to be available to me, especially if you're going through a lot of acquisitions, etc. And I don't do a lot of advising. I do some advisory roles, because some companies are not looking to hire a coach. I'm first and foremost a coach to high-performing SaaS, B2B SaaS founders, software as a service. That's what I do. But for certain scenarios where they're bootstrapped and they're not looking for a coach, but they just want me to help them, support some acquisitions or some financial fundraising, et cetera. Those are the opportunities that I'm open to, but they're people I've known for a really long time. So not that you've known me. If you've been watching this or listening to this, these are people that are in my network. But pay to consult is another way of doing it. And pay them as just their hourly rate, or maybe it's a couple $1,000 a month as a retainer. And then the third form of currency really for advisors is social currency. People underestimate the value. I'm an investor in a company called Pila, and they're biodegradable or biopolymer phone case and many other different products today, eyewear, glasses, et cetera. And I sit on the board, but they also have a board of advisors. And these advisors aren't compensated. They meet probably every 4 to 6 weeks on Zoom in a group, and they bring their top challenges and ask for introductions. And I think what happens is people feel honored, and there's social currency there. There's, being part of a really exciting, Jay-Z is an investor in that company. And, there's just the social currency can go both ways. One thing I know for many of my advisors, that even before they're even formal advisors, is I mention them publicly. I just want to thank this person. It's been an incredible impact on my life. Every time I've had these kind of challenges, I turn to them and they just are able to cut through all the noise and just solve my problem. And I just think that social currency is not well understood for somebody starting off, because maybe you're like, well, I don't really have a lot to add or value. Honestly, if you get advice, you do stuff with the advice, and you circle back and told them what you did and what you learned, that's incredibly valuable for a lot of people, because there's not a lot of places in their lives where they might have that interaction, and it feels really good. Anybody that's ever given somebody else advice and they go and take action, they come back in 2 or 3 weeks and they say, hey, I just want you to know I heard this, I did this, and here's been the impact. Just want to thank you for that. That's enough to have them engaged in your business in a very informal way, and I call that social currency. Number 3, communicate context. It still to this day blows my mind how many entrepreneurs I've invested in, I've given my money to, and they don't send me updates. They don't give me any context. I don't know where their business is at. I was involved in an advisory role recently, and they said, well, what's the best way to communicate with you? I said, look, you've got my cell. You can hit me up on, and I gave them a few other channels that I use. But at the end of the day, send monthly updates. Send an email update, and I'm going to link to a resource that you guys can download. It's like a template that I put together a while ago. But just allowing your advisory board to understand the context of where the business, because maybe you only meet every 2 months. A lot happens in an early stage company in the early days, a lot of change, a lot of stuff. And I've always felt weird if somebody sees something about a company that they know I'm involved in. They're like, hey, congrats on fundraising or that new partnership. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, thank you. And I'm like, oh, what the heck's going on? I didn't even know about that. And that's the norm. So this is you have an opportunity to stand out in the market if you do at least every month a quick email update to your advisors. And then ideally, quarterly, you can either do it one-on-one. I'm a big fan of like my formal advisors, quarterly, schedule a meeting, could be 45 minutes, send them your board deck ahead of time, your strategic doc, because hopefully you're doing strategic planning every quarter. And then say, here are the 3 things I want to review with you. You get on there, make it really efficient use of their time. For the most part, it's going to be referrals or reviewing something, doing an audit of your work. And that's a really good use of their time. Or you could do it as a group. Less preferred personally, I think, one-on-one. But if you want to do quarterly minimum as a group with your advisory board, because there's value in each advisor getting to know themselves. Like you can bring value to your advisors by bringing them together. So if you physically have them in your hometown, bringing them out to dinner, paying for that dinner, thanking them, allowing them to connect is incredibly valuable and appreciated. And to me, that is how we communicate context so they never feel out of the loop. Because that's when somebody's going to say like, hey, you know what? Expectations are misaligned because I don't even know what's going on in your business. You haven't sent an update in 3 or 4 months. And I've unfortunately had to make those calls and let people know that. And it's just not the way I do business. So don't be that founder. If you have the privilege of having an advisor who has expertise and insights and has been ideally there before and they're going to support you, communicate that context. So quick 3 strategies to find the right advisor, compensate them, and keep them informed. Number 1, we want to close the gap. Number 2, we want to pay to perform. And number 3, we want to communicate context. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I want to share with you an exclusive training called the Dream 100. You can click the link below to get your copy, but it's how I think of whenever I start a new business. I take a spreadsheet out and I make this list of the 10 mentors, people that have been there before, the 30 advisors using the experience buckets I talked to you about, in it, especially if it's a new industry, a new business model that I've never executed against, and then the 60 peers that I need to connect and communicate. And click the link below where I walk you through how to identify them, recruit them, the timeline you should be reaching out to them. Don't worry, you have a lot of time. But that is my gift to you. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel, smash the notification bell icon and say notify in real time when I publish. I publish every week, sometimes more. And be sure to leave a comment if you have any questions, comments on this strategy. I am committed to responding to the first 10. That is something I will do. A lot of fun meeting you guys down there in the comments, so be sure to do that. And as per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday. Let's continue to do it.